National Fishermen and Pacific Marine Expo are proud supporters of the Galley Stories podcast, as we make similar efforts to highlight the people and topics that define commercial fishing. You can see what that looks like in print and online all year long, as well as every November in Seattle when this community comes together at PME. Check out nationalfisherman.com and pacificmarineexpo.com to learn more.
Hello and welcome to Galley Stories, stories of the Bering Sea and beyond, hosted by Mark Kaler. My name is Penka Jane, podcast deckhand and longtime listener. We'd thank you to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Here's today's catch.
Hello guys, and welcome to another installment of Galley Stories, stories of the Bering Sea and beyond. I am your host, Mark Kaler. Today we have Captain Curtis Johnson with us, currently the captain of the FV Icy Mist. A lot of our listeners will know him from the Alaska Spirit, but good afternoon, Curtis. How are you?
Good afternoon. Doing good.
Let's dive right into it, Curtis. Where were you born, and what got you into the commercial fishing industry?
I was born in Montana. I had a cousin that owned the Pro Surveyor out of Seattle, and my brother went fishing about 1994 up there, and he came back with loads of money every year, so I decided that that's what I wanted to do about 15 years old. So when I turned 18, went up there to Seattle, got on the first king crab season in 1997. Went out there and wondered what the heck I was doing out there, honestly. Probably never going to come back. Well, I got a check at the end of the season, realized that, yeah, this could work out for me. So went back the next Opie season. Started out, the Pro Surveyor was a catcher processor. So I started out in the processing room, basically, processing crab. I was part of case up, so what I did was put the crab in the boxes and threw it in the freezer and, worked a year doing that, and my brother was on deck, so then I decided that it was probably time to start working my way out there, where the big money was. So the next season I was able to get on deck, doing bait. Everybody there was, seasoned, and I was 18 years old. Green, totally green. But they taught me quick. Mm-hmm. They were all mid-40s, and there I was.
How long were you on the boat?
The Pro Surveyor, I was on for 9 years, until the IFQ, until rationalization started.
Where'd you go from there, and how did you get to where you went from there?
So basically, Paul Duffy, the Pro Surveyor, he told me that they're just going to shut the boat down. He's going to lease the boat out. So there I was without a job for a year. But I got a call from Tyler on the Alaska Spirit and told me that there was a position there. Had another deckhand that was on the Pro Surveyor. Was working on there with him. So we jumped on. Me and my brother both jumped on there. Started a cod season, and then worked into crab from there. Mm-hmm.
So one cod season on the Alaska Spirit?
Yeah, did one cod season, and then we started into crab, and from then on, we just sold all the cod pots and never fished cod again. Mm-hmm. But the Opie quota, the king crab quota, were big enough that we didn't have to worry about that. So
you've been on the Alaska Spirit for quite a while.
18 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did your progression go on the Alaska Spirit?
I worked on deck there for, I believe, 11 years before I got offered a position as a captain for tendering. So I was working in Bristol Bay at the time, running a little 32-foot over there, gill net and salmon. And Tyler asked me if I wanted to tender, and I was like, well, yeah, gets my foot in the door for a bigger boat and better position. So I tendered for 3 or 4 years, and then I was able to get insured for the Bering Sea. So then I was able to run out and do Opies and king crab, and so I just kind of went from there.
Mm-hmm. When you first got out on deck, and I imagine this is the Pro Surveyor, you were doing bait. Mm-hmm. But how were the guys treating you, being that young guy on deck?
Oh, I was screamed at daily. Mm-hmm. Screamed at daily. It was the more they screamed, the faster I went, though. So that's what got me going. It was like, all right, well, I'm going to show you guys that I can do this, and that's what I'm going to do. So they kind of took me under the wing and showed me everything. So it was a nice progression there.
Mm-hmm. So first job on a boat was in the processing side,
Mm-hmm.
and then moving up to the deck and working your way through and on the Alaska Spirit. 18 years on there,
Yeah.
a lot of experiences.
Yeah.
What would be one of your better experiences?
Well, I guess, working with Tyler was, he's a grade A captain. He was one of those guys that just, there's nobody else out there like him. It's caught a lot of crab, got crab fast. So it was really hard to, kind of follow in his shoes after he decided to retire. But, I would say, yeah, I don't really have like the best experience.
No?
Yeah.
What about the day you got the keys?
The day I got the keys, I was nervous. I was definitely nervous, and I actually fished a Bristol Bay season that summer and got back to Kodiak, and he had another guy running the boat for tendering at the time. So I jumped on with him and worked with him for about a week, and then he decided he was jumping off. So there it was, the Alaska Spirit, and I took off from town. And Tyler didn't even know that the other guy had jumped off, so I was just in the chair. Tyler called me up about a week later, and he's like, "What the heck's going on? Where are you at?" Didn't realize the other guy had even left.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
That's back in the 90s.
In the 90s?
Was that in the 90s?
No. When I took the keys over for the Spirit, it was what year was that? 2015, probably.
Okay. So like almost a whole week of running the boat and nobody knew it.
Yeah.
Not the same communication lines we have today.
Right. Yeah.
Today is so much easier to talk and communicate.
Yeah.
So now you're on to another adventure, though.
Yeah. So with the OP shut down and really all I had left going on the Spirit was tendering. A little bit of halibut, but fish halibut on there, and just a tender position. I was offered this position, through tendering this last summer, to come out here and fish 45 million pound cod quota. And I was like, wow, that sounds really good. Before I knew the price.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the differences you see in cod and crab fishing? Because now you've done both.
Well, cod is definitely a lot harder fishing than what crab is. I mean, crab, you're setting the pots and you let them soak and pick them up. If you don't like it, you move it. Cod, you don't move. The cod come to you. So you got to learn the right tide cycles and learn when to set your pots and when not to haul your pots. And we had a 3-man deck this last trip, so it was tough to even move gear. So they're just haul until you drop, really. With crab, you don't have to do that. You could just, if you're not seeing much, stop, let them soak. If it doesn't work out, then you move them. Mm-hmm. So it's a totally different fishery, totally different mentality.
Yeah, so the time between pots and just for our listeners, the time between pots and a crab fishery, how often are you pulling that one pot up?
We usually generally wait 24 to 36 hours.
And what about for cod?
About 4 hours.
So it's turn and burn.
It is turn and burn. Yeah, as fast as you can turn those pots. I mean, with that state water season, there's a 60 pot limit, so you're going to run those 60 pots 6 times a day.
As hard as you can.
Yeah.
So you'd say it's tougher than crab fishing.
Way tougher. Yeah.
And you've done both. So.
Yeah.
Okay. What has been the worst experience you've had at sea?
Well, back when I first started on the Alaska Spirit, we've had a few times, traveling out where the ice is just so bad that you're listing over, and we've seen this with a number of different boats, and they end up just going down. But you're basically running up the Shelikof, and the wind blows off the beach so hard there that you want to hug the beach, but the temperatures there are twice as cold than it is offshore. So, even though it seems like you're not taking a lot of waves, you're building ice almost twice as fast as if you were to run 30 miles offshore. And that's one of the worst places is the Shelikof coming down that area. And we've taken, every 3 hours you got to stop, pull over off the side, beat ice, get the list off the boat. When you got 150 pots on there, that's it creates a lot of weight. And there was one time we hit about Igvac, which is about halfway down the Shelikoff. And we were listed over so far that we had to go into the bay and basically put the boat on the beach, all the way up on the beach. And we were taking pots from the crane and swinging these pots onto the stack to break the ice off. It was probably 4 foot thick on the starboard side. That was after just 3 hours of running. But it gets so cold out there that's probably, you know, the worst that I've seen. Is the icing conditions out here in January.
Ever have to do a Mayday call?
We've never had to do a Mayday call, no.
Ever responded to one?
No, we've never had to respond to one. You know, a few years ago, when the Scandies Rose went down, I was actually leaving that same night. And I started looking at the weather and looking at the temperatures, and I think there was a couple other boats that left with them. But I decided for whatever reason that night I wasn't leaving. I was going to wait until the next day. Well, about midnight we got that call. And, you know, heard helicopters flying over the top of Kodiak, and, you know, and then I got a call saying that Scandies Rose went down. And so the next morning I went and bought every tarp I could find, tarped up the whole stack, and waited for a weather window, and then we took off. You know, it was an eerie feeling going by where they were at, but we were just a day behind them. I could have been in that same position.
Yeah, and our industry is such a small, tight community. You know, everybody's kind of impacted by.
Absolutely, yeah. Gary was, I wouldn't say a friend, but a good acquaintance of mine. So, and he was actually fishing my cousin's crab at the time. So I knew him through
See what
that.
a small world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What in all these years you've been going since 1997?
Mm-hmm.
What has the sea given to you?
You know, I find a little bit of relaxation out here. Get away from the real world a little bit and get out here and just open water and go fishing. Really, you know, it's you know, and the money part of it, that's huge too. There's nowhere down south that I'd be able to make the kind of money that I make fishing. You know, it's you know, you get that check at the end of the season, you go home, and I've got months off. I could spend with the family when the kids were little. You know, I've got 4 kids, so that's
What's their ages?
26, 20, 19, and 17.
You guys hear him say that, and if you're looking at Curtis, which there'll be a picture posted with the episode, but if you look at Curtis, you think that he might have a 5-year-old, but you certainly wouldn't think he has a 26-year-old.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, obviously, it's given you this ability to take care of that family and other things, but what has it taken from you?
The time being out here, the time fishing, you know, not really being able to see the kids grow up the way my wife does. You know, when I get home, I'm just like, yeah, everybody loves to see me, and I'm there, and we take the kids out camping, especially when they were younger. It was really nice. I didn't work, you know, all I worked was crab when they were younger. So I would work from January until March, come home, and I had the rest of the year off. So, you know, and I did a little bit of construction in the summertime, but, you know, as the market crashed in 2008, I believe, I stopped doing construction and just went full-time fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and since then, I haven't seen the kids much at all. I mean, they know me for, you know, when I come home and I've got the money and I pay the bills and mom's the boss.
Something can be said about that extra, you know, that length of time off, though.
Yeah.
You can get really totally immersive in that 3
Yeah.
months or 5 months or 2 months that you have.
That's 100%. Yeah, that's 100% of the time with the kids and with the wife, and you know, we do what we want to do, and the wife's never had to work.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to take a trip, we just take a trip. You know, the biggest thing is the schools, obviously, with the kids, and trying to find the right time to take them out, take them away. It was easy when they were young, but especially when, you know, once they started hitting high school and stuff like that, and everybody had jobs. And
Do you see your kids getting into it?
my son has actually been fishing with me since he was 9 years old.
You're still doing it?
Still doing it. He came out to Bristol Bay at 9. We fished about a month and a half there, and he was just tiny. So I had him sitting inside a blue tote at the end of the salmon slide. All he was doing was just basically popping the gill on the fish and throwing them in the fish hole. And that was his job. But he'd sit in there with his rain gear, and he'd come out of there just a bloody mess.
It's bleeding him, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you pay him, or was this family labor?
No, he's gotten paid ever since, and he's and since then he's tendered with me on the Alaska Spirit for the rest of the years. And
So it sounds like he's going to continue.
Yeah.
So you got a second generation fisherman in there.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely wants to stay fishing. So I would have him on the boat with me right now, but he's got some other medical issues going on. So
there's not a lot of guys anymore that started on the processing deck and are out there running their own boats. It's just not. Long ago, it was a kind of a progression,
right?
Because it was so hard to get a job on the water. What would you suggest to anyone listening that's looking to get a job on the water? Was that a good step to start the way that you did?
Yeah, it was. It was, kind of gets you out there and you can kind of see what's going on. I mean, I guess with the processing part of it, if you were able to step on a CP, which they just don't have anymore, there's, I think, just a couple CPs left.
CP being a catcher
processor. So you're able to see, the catching side of things as well. As far as just jumping on a big processor, you're not able to see that. So I don't know. I've never fished on just a straight processing boat. I don't know what their lives are like on there, but I can't imagine it's, anything like catching.
No.
So it's being on the catching side of things. I mean, I would say it's a much better deal than jumping on a processor. It's
seems like the natural progression now on the processing side would be to try to get your butt on the dock.
Yeah.
Working in the dock crew, right?
Right.
You see these captains come in and you try to show them what you can do.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
You ever look at guys on the dock and see experience that you like?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. We've been delivering to St. Paul for years, and there's a couple guys up there, and if you ever need a job, give me a call. But I don't. Some people like the water, some people don't. It's you gotta love it.
Boy, it's just like that too.
Yeah. You gotta love it to be out here because it's miserable.
So then, what would your advice be for someone that wants to get in?
I would say come up, and maybe start a salmon season or something. Something on a smaller boat, smaller scale. See if you like it. If you can handle the weather. A lot of people get seasick, so that's a really tough deal. Some people never get over it.
Right.
You're sick the whole time. I mean, that's not a way to live. That's for sure. But it's I would say just start on a smaller scale and see what you think.
Okay, well, Curtis, thanks for taking the time today to give us a little story.
Yeah.
I'll let you end it, and with do you have anything final? Any final notes, comments?
I would say do what you love. I love to fish. I'll be out here till the end probably. And so I can't imagine myself ever doing a day job, land job 9 to 5. Come out here and just work until you drop.
Okay.
But that's about all I got.
All right. Well, thanks again, Curtis. And all right, guys, we'll see you later.
Thanks for listening to Galley Stories. We hope you like what the net brought in. Please leave us a review on iTunes. Whether you like it or not, we're not fishing for compliments. Look us up on Facebook and Twitter too, and reach out to us at galleystories@gmail.com.